Hey guys, day 30 of my Veganuary vlog. So thanks for hanging in with me. I hope some of the videos have challenged you in a beneficial way. I thought I'd talk about a bit more of a fun, engaging topic today, and something that can sometimes be an obstacle for people if they're thinking about, changing their diet. So social eating, how to eat out or how to eat at parties on a vegan diet, and also how that looks for kids as well. So first of all, we're really lucky in Australia and here on the Sunshine Coast. There's lots of vegetarian and vegan restaurants and cafes and food options popping up all over the place now. And so that's an easy way of being able to go out and make cruelty-free choices, is just choosing to support and go to one of those establishments. And so, for example, on the Sunshine Coast, we've got Cafe Nurcha, we've got Deli Cats, we've got Cocoa Head, I think it's called, up in Noosa, and then lots of other places as well that have got a really great range of vegan alternatives. Suntai is another place in Nambour. They do all Thai food that's a vegan, with the exception of honey, I think, in some dishes. They use a lot of mock meats, so it's not the healthiest, but it's a great option. And if you're living in other areas of Australia or around the world, then it's highly likely that you've got those kinds of options available to you. So seek those places out. The more support they get, the more likely it is that they'll thrive and be around for a long time. Supply equals demand. You can also obviously go to any other restaurant or cafe and find something on the menu that sometimes might require some modification. So, for example, on the weekend, Ben and I went out to an Indian restaurant, and Indian restaurants are great because they've usually got a really big vegetarian range, but they do use a lot of ghee. And so that's one thing to be aware of as a vegan, is to be mindful of those hidden ingredients that aren't always written on the menu or clear. So I just always ask the waiter or waitress, which of these vegetarian dishes can be made vegan without ghee. And I normally just remind them again when I order, please make it vegan, make sure there's no ghee in it. If they've got things like the paneer, the cottage cheese sorts of dishes, we just avoid those completely. But yeah, it's quite easy in those kinds of establishments. Thai is another one that you can usually get some vegan options. You just need to be aware again of the hidden ingredients. So fish sauce is a big one in Thai food. And also be really careful about the stocks. So, if you're getting a pho or a laksa or some kind of soup, they usually make the stock from chicken stock or something like that. So just always make sure you do check that. We've been caught out with that once before at a Thai restaurant where the dish was labelled as vegetarian, and we made sure that it didn't have egg in it or anything else that we thought of, but then we found out later that it was either fish sauce or an animal-based stock in it. So that's not always clear on the menu, and even though meals are classified as vegetarian, you've really got to check that when you order and make sure that they've got it all right. Honey is another one that's often hidden in vegetarian meals, and so just check that as well and ask if they can swap that out for coconut sugar, or just eliminate it completely. So that's the sort of restaurant and cafe options. Eating out socially, with family or friends, or say going to a party, it's always nice to take something along to share. Then that you've got a great healthy option with you. And usually vegan food is so colourful and inviting that most people want to give it a go. So it's a nice way of inviting people to try that sort of food, and giving them maybe some inspiration to look at some vegan recipes or try some new ways of cooking and eating. And then when it comes to kids, so kids parties or just parties in general where you're going along with kids, I tend to again try and take some great yummy delicious vegan options with us, so that the kids have got something they can eat while they're there. Our kids are quite young, so I do tell them what they can and can't have, and they're fine with that. They understand the reasons why we make the choices we do, and why we eat a vegan diet, and that's very clear for them, so it's not something that they have an issue with. We just go and stand at the party table and I'll say you can have that, that, that and that, but you can't have this or this, and so they just eat the vegan options, and so far we haven't encountered any resistance there. Possibly when they're teenagers, then that might be a different story, and at that stage then we'll probably have to, you know, relax the reins a little bit and start allowing them to make their own choices so that they can feel the detrimental effects in their body, and really check in with, you know, why we make the choices we do, and hopefully continue to align with those. What else? You know, if we don't take stuff along to parties or kids' parties and there's no great options for them there, then usually we'll take them out for some sort of vegan treat afterwards, or we'll try and do something fun the next day, so they've got that to look forward to. You know, the kids often miss out on cakes at kids' parties because it's not that common that there's vegan cake options, and it generally doesn't bother them anymore. So yeah, we do try and sort of replace that with a fun little family outing somewhere if we can within the next day or so. Schools are another thing. So at schools and kindies, often they have, you know, birthday parties where the kids will bring a cake, or, you know, buy the whole class ice blocks and ice creams and that sort of stuff. So we try and be organised ahead of time and give the school vegan options to keep in the freezer. But again, if we haven't done that, if we've forgotten or they've run out or something, we'll just try and take the kids for, you know, a treat on the way home. So we've got a wonderful little township that's got a couple of really great health food stores, and so we can get them a, you know, a vegan ice block or some vegan chocolate or some sort of special treat that they get really excited about. So that's how we manage that. So yeah, you know, it's not an obstacle eating out socially. A lot of people, when they first transition to veganism, aren't as vocal as I have been this month about it. You know, they just want to quietly go about changing their habits without potentially offending other people, or, you know, yeah, it's just they've made the choices they've made for their own reasons, and, you know, that not everyone feels like they need to shout about that from the rooftops. So yeah, you if that's your thing, then you just make sure that you've got options available, and you go to places where it's easy for you to make the choices that you want to make. Or, you know, you can always just not eat anything. If there's nothing on the menu that you can have, then just have some water and go and eat somewhere else afterwards. I guess Japanese is another one probably to mention. So there's lots of great, you know, sushi train places and sushi bars and things like that, but they do use a lot of dashi in most of their meals. So just be aware of that. So dashi is made from bonito, which is a type of fish, like a type of tuna, and most of the stock that they use to flavour a lot of their dishes has got that dashi in it. So that's another thing to check as well. Yeah, so that probably covers that topic pretty well. Don't see it as an obstacle. There's so many delicious places to eat at these days with really great vegan options, and it's really nice to explore them and be surrounded by such beautiful rainbow high vibrational food that will raise your vibration as well. And you'll probably notice that when you eat at those kinds of establishments, when you leave, you feel really energized, you feel really happy, you feel really connected to, you know, the people that are with you, and you know, the planet's energy as well. And it's usually because the food is you know, really high vibrational as well. You know, plant foods have got a beautiful, real high vibe energy to them, and that high vibrational food will raise your vibration up. And that's actually a really important part of maintaining change, is to keep yourself at that level. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in tomorrow's video, because I'm going to really go down into the mechanics of change tomorrow. So that's it. We're nearly at the end. If you're heading out this weekend, sometime soon for a social outing, or, you know, a cafe date or something, see if you can seek out some vegan places, and just remember those little tips for how to go about making sure that it's easy for you to make the right choices when you're out and about. See you guys. I'll see you tomorrow.